Ultimate Cars vs. Mahoraga is a battle of adaptation, but who is the most capable of it at the end of it all? I will compare these characters in their standard form, but to improve the odds in favor of whoever needs it, I'll run another scenario where we equalize their stats regarding their strength, speed, and durability. But first, a rundown of everything they're capable of, starting with Ultimate Cars. Now, Cars, after using the Redstone of Asia to further his evolution, is capable of the following: body manipulation. As the ultimate life form, he contains the DNA of every organism to ever live on the earth, and because of that, Cars can manipulate his body on a cellular level, gaining the traits of any life form on earth. These traits include forming wings for flight and transforming body parts into different organisms entirely. And he's also capable of reactive evolution. He can alter his body to withstand extreme conditions, such as evolving a layer of inorganic material to survive being submerged in lava. Then there's his superhuman senses. He has heightened senses, including the ability to sense heat and air pressure, and his vision is comparable to a telescope. He has superhuman strength, this is what it was classified as, and it said, Cars possesses extraordinary strength, measured at 900 kilograms per centimeter squared. It was talking about his grip strength in specific, but that doesn't really tell you the most. It's not the best thing for feats. In terms of regeneration, he can rapidly heal from any injury, adding to his resilience in combat. And he also is immortal. He's described as invincible, immortal, and nearly indestructible because it makes sense, as he is no longer affected by aging anymore and can regenerate from conventional harm. In his ultimate form, Cars can harness the power of Ripple, also known as Hamon, at a level that surpasses even the most skilled Hamon users. His mastery of Hamon is so advanced that it rivals the intensity of the surface of the sun itself. This immense level of Hamon allows Cars to melt and vaporize human flesh on contact, turning his attacks into deadly and devastating weapons. Now, unrelated to his ultimate form, he also had the ability to create these deadly blades from his body. These blades are extremely sharp and durable, making them effective for close quarters combat. And they can be extended, retracted at will, allowing Cars to surprise his opponents with, quick, lethal slashes. But unfortunate for us all, I'm done with this. With this treasure, I summon. Now I have to do that. But it's the 8-handled sword divergent Scylla divine general Mahoraga. That is an extremely long name, but considering how strong it is in Jujutsu Kaisen, I think it's fair. Mahoraga is the most powerful Shikigami of the 10 Shadows technique. Its main power is to adapt into any phenomena. If a specific attack injures it, the 8-handled wheel will turn and Mahoraga will adapt to said thing. Now, if said thing tries to attack Mahoraga with the same ability or whatever it did, it will counter it. Now, realistically speaking, there's not much to explain about this ability or this character. It does exactly that. So all we can really do is bring up examples here and there and look to the extent of its adaptability. It'll get hit, turn the wheel, it heals, adapts. That's everything that you really do. And the way that you take out a problem like this is really similar to how you take out a problem like Cars. So let's play the comparing game. Ultimate Cars has a biological artillery, which he can mess with and adapt also. He has the DNA of everything that's ever lived on this earth. But to completely demolish Mahoraga is a different thing altogether. Let's address the comparisons in terms of strength, speed, and durability for this one. But before we get any further, this video is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Now in 2024, we're doing things differently, and I'm starting with the Manscaped Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. It sounds like a new version of Street Fighter, honestly. Now, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is the main character here. With its skin-safe technology, it executes great on taking out hair while still being gentle on the skin. And you also have the dual blade system that serves the purpose of 2 different trimmers, both a clean cut and a smooth finish. And there's also a bigger LED light that helps you see what you got going on over there. It's also waterproof, so integrating it into the shower runs easy. Then there's also the Weed Whacker 2.0, meant for stuff like tackling nose and ear hairs. And after it's all done and you need post-shave care, there's the Crop Smoother and the Crop Preserver, helping you stay comfortable. You also get 2 free gifts with the Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0, which for me, I always like extra stuff. especially if it's for staying clean. So make this new year your best year yet. Head to manscaped.com and use my promo code Caleb, for 20% off for free international shipping and 2 free gifts. Now, in terms of attack potency comparisons, JoJo scaling is realistically, it's a reasonably large mishmash with a bunch of people who don't agree with each other. That's just how it is. Considering that Pillar Men are largely stronger than vampires, and Ultimate Cars is above all of them in all life forms ever. At a bare minimum level, he should be able to take out a city block. Wouldn't be that crazy of a thought. And highball comparison with the other characters, large mountain to potentially more, but we would need the feast for that just to get an idea, you know, which would mean middle ground of town level and all between those two. Now Mahoraga is just casually small town at its basis, like it's town level like it's nothing, and even lowballing, it's still that because it's demonstrated how strong it is. Which means that, you know, large town is also very much possible, especially depending on which Mahoraga that we're going about. But this is going to be the one that we have in mind in the Shibuya incident because that's the most recent case. Well, in terms of the anime. Now, in terms of speed, Jujutsu Kaisen characters don't get to light speed normally. Meanwhile, cars and a lot of JoJo characters do. And most characters don't really have even like light speed, movement speed, and all that, but cars is at least combat speed, light speed. Movement speed, that's different. We had him chasing Joseph with a plane. That's a whole different thing. It's character writing, yada yada yada. But durability, well, you know, it's comparable to their attack potency, but let's be honest, it's not going to be enough. The durability really doesn't matter. If we're going to be really honest, attack potency here and durability, the outright versions of each other, they don't really matter. You are going to need complete obliteration of both of these characters to get them out of here. So let's go about it differently. Now, in terms of the logic in JJK, I think for the most part, you can't see curses and Shikigami, but in times of crisis, they are able to be seen. That's like what happened in like the first episode. And I'm not sure what constitutes as a crisis here, but I think getting attacked by Mahoraga is a crisis for most. So let's just say that cars can see it. Plus, that's like the premise of this altogether. But when it comes down to the battle itself, Cars is extremely intelligent and faster than Mahoraga. But I think durability wise, it'll take most of what Cars gives it. Cars has never gone against someone of similar caliber to where it's just like, oh, they have to be completely atomized. Not atomized, but at least like disintegrate altogether. It was basically that. But neither has Mahoraga up until, you know, I guess Sukuna. Cars has the ability to assess what's going on and how Mahoraga works, but as for his repertoire, he'd have to create something new entirely, which shouldn't be that bad, because whilst Mahoraga can survive most things, nullifying Cars' biology is extremely impossible, especially considering that Cars isn't limited in the same way that a lot of these sorcerers are. I also haven't seen Mahoraga modify itself to match a difference in speed, so we just know that in terms of at least durability, it's fine and its adaptability works well, and even in an offensive case to an extent. Now, Cars, with a few seconds of learning Hamon, had the strongest Hamon in history. And if you give him time in the battle, which he will get, he'd be able to modify his body to the point where his Hamon will completely obliterate Mahoraga. He can largely increase his lung capacity, blood flow, absorption, how he takes in sun, everything. He can modify everything about himself. He's every living thing ever. He'd even be able to tap into things that we've already seen, like Wamu's wind style or AC/DC's blood, and he could turn them up to an extent that we'd never even seen before. And I don't want to get too headcanony for some of these more abilities, but you really have to consider that these modes that Pillarmen have shown and the potential of ones that we haven't seen, Cars could most likely achieve them, which is insane. Wamu's wind already had the ability to cut through everything, but imagine that Cars was able to improve it even further and just turns Mahoraga into nothingness just using wind. It's possible. Where I think Mahoraga could get far is if we use JJK logic and it damaged Cars' soul and made it difficult to do something with it. But, you know, this isn't Mahito, which is another character that I actually would love to cover here, because that character realistically is broken, but that's a whole different topic. Now, alongside that, he's not a regular person or a Jujutsu sorcerer who has to rely on RCT or something like that. Now, I understand that there might be a small amount of people that think, oh, you know, Mahoraga be adapting like that, so Mahoraga could just adapt to the point where he could recreate the vacuum of space because that's what Cars lost to. And while funny, no, that's not, we haven't seen Sukuna go against any of that. That would have been very helpful, don't you think? But no, don't give me that, because if Mahoraga could do that, then he would have been doing that like this whole time. That would have been extremely helpful. It's not on the table. And honestly speaking, just think about it this way, all right? Imagine Sukuna without dismantle or cleave. You're like, oh, okay, that's a worse Sukuna, of course. But instead, he's given the biology of every living thing on Earth, a 400 IQ, I don't even know what that is, and lots of blades because he can generate as many limbs or as many beings with blades as he wants to. Imagine a bunch of flying lions with hairs made out of snakes, and every one of them has a blade. It's funny, but this character is unreasonable, realistically speaking. It's just an odd set of powers. Now, here's the thing, all right? If you want to remove the difference in speed, and attack potency and durability were the same level also, then it's a good bit more possible for Mahoraga. The issue is that Cars can continue to modify himself biologically speaking to give himself the traits needed to apply even more pressure on Cars, and the issue is that I don't think Mahoraga has the intelligence required to be a force that could be in this fight. I also think that since a lot of this has the lens of JJK, Mahoraga just has to do things and the logic of the series to be stronger than all the other characters. So how characters regenerate circulates around various degrees of curse energy, reverse curse technique, and all that. And even then, I haven't seen him stop that either, especially against Sukuna. And I think Mahoraga works amazingly against most Jujutsu sorcerers, but a certain character like Ultimate Cars, I'm not sure. And here's what helps though. If it were Sukuna and Mahoraga together against Cars, and then we equalize the speed, then it wouldn't be as close as we think, like at all. Probably not. Because I think the combination of Sukuna and Mahoraga with equalized traits, it would be completely wild to try to go against this set of characters. Because I don't even think most characters could do it against those two if we really equalized it, honestly speaking. But we can look into that potentially later. But tell me your thoughts. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully see you all in the next one. Until then, peace out and Godspeed.